Where everyone's introducing themselves.
Hello. Well, Ryan's tweeting out. I'll get us kicked off. I'll do it. I'm doing it. Hi everyone. Welcome to the Survivor UConn Ready to Rumble Season 2, Episode 9 after show. I was a mouthful. We've got a great panel here tonight, and I told y'all it was going to be my favorite episode we ever made. I fully think it lived up to it, so I'm excited to break it down with everyone. I'm Ethan. I am one of the executive producers, the future Season 3 host here at UConn, and I really like getting to talk about all of this stuff. So I'm excited to be here again. We'll pop it down there. Go for it.
I'm Lindsay. I was in Survivor UConn Season 1, and this is my second time doing this, so I'm excited to do it again because I really enjoyed it the first time. Yeah.
Go for it, Shane.
Oh, cool. Hi, my name is Shane. I am the co-founder and one of the executive producers on Scotty Survivor, which is the student-run Survivor show at Carnegie Mellon University. I'm really excited to be here. I'm really glad that Ryan and Ethan invited me to come talk about this awesome episode that they dropped today. It was really great. So really glad to be here to answer questions and talk about the episode.
Absolutely, and we'll talk about it a little more at the end of the show. But if you haven't seen the trailer for Scotty Survivor, check it out now. Just YouTube Scotty Survivor. I think it should come up as the first thing. All right. So for the show today, we will have last episode's boot. Maddie will be stopping in at one point, so we'll have a bit to talk to her. But otherwise, let's get started and talking about this episode. So, start of the episode, Matt is just talking about the last tribal, and Matt's saying, oh, he was looking over at Robbie. They were kind of like exchanging some smiles and glances, but he's like, I don't want to be like too much of like a sucker to Robbie and other jury members because I don't want that to make me like this big threat. But I feel like as we saw in the last episode, that's maybe a little too late. Seems like Bijan kind of had already picked up on that. But then we have Bijan and Carolina meet up, and Bijan had told Carolina that he was voting Maddie, and then ultimately the vote still landed on her anyways. So do you guys think there was room that Carolina maybe should have navigated a little more to save Maddie this last episode? Or do you think long term it was maybe good for her to distance herself from this like close ally, Maddie?
I think it was probably good for her. The two of them together obviously were a target, and I think she probably realized kind of during the split vote that like, oh, like if they can't get her, they want to get me. But I also think that even if she wanted to save her, I don't think she necessarily had the resources because, like, Bijan was flipping, so like, where else is she gonna go to? Like the people he's flipping to, like, I don't know if she would has the connections to make that happen.
Yeah, I also think that it can be like perceived as a good move on her part for not like going around and spreading that Maddie was getting voted out, because in the end, you never want to be in a pair with somebody who's a more dominant player. And so it looks good that she knew that she was getting voted out, but didn't vote her out. That's really great jury management. And so I thought that was like a pretty good move on her part. Maybe it's not the best for her gameplay this week or next week, but if she makes it to the end, that is a move that she could say she had some part in, even though she didn't actively vote Maddie off.
Yeah, I agree entirely, Shane. I think she didn't have to vote Maddie to still have the knowledge and be able to use that to her narrative. I totally agree that she has it as a story piece. But I think also not voting Maddie, I don't know, it looks good to not vote for your closest ally to everyone. If you're willing to just stab them right in the back, then everyone's like, hey, I don't really want to work with them, nor do I really want to vote for them at the end. So it keeps like a positive persona around her. And I think losing Maddie probably was the best thing for her in that situation anyways. So it's a lot of wins for her without her having to do any damage. So I like it in the end for sure.
All right, and before we get too much farther, she is here. So without further ado, I want to introduce Maddie.
Hi,
Maddie,
Matt.
you're
Hello.
live on stream. How are you tonight?
Good. How are you guys?
Oh, doing well. I'm glad I could introduce you as I talked about your friend voting you out as a good thing.
Yeah, no, I was listening.
So Maddie, thank you for coming on and thank you for being a part of this. Obviously, it was great watching you and having you as a part of this season. Just have a few questions for you. Just want to get to know a few things. If anyone, there's anyone in chat that has a question or two, feel free. But Maddie, I just wanted to ask, what was this experience like for you? What did you think of the Survivor UConn experience?
I mean, it was awesome. Like, I did it my freshman year, so I got to meet a lot of cool people. I'm still friends with some of them. Obviously, me and Carolina are still close. But it was just like an awesome experience. I really enjoyed it, and all the crew was awesome. Like, definitely putting in the extra hours for it, and just watching it back is like, I'm sure it's super rewarding for everyone.
It absolutely is. It's great seeing you guys play it out, even though we've already seen it once. Putting it all together is another thing. Obviously, your relationship with Carolina is a big one through the season. You guys were close before the game. Talk to me a little bit about that relationship, and then just nothing past this current episode where Alex goes out, obviously. But for your time in the game and just in general, what was it like playing with someone you were really close to? Just tell me about that relationship.
Yeah, so obviously we went in the game. No one really knew. Like, we wanted to play it so that no one knew that we knew each other, but that like ended really quickly. And then we ended up on the same tribe, so we were like, well, obviously, like, let's be like in an alliance together. And just like through the game, like it helped and it hindered. You know, like we voted together every time, just because we were in an alliance together. But, you know, it was also that people saw that as like a really big threat, that we were always voting together, that we were super close. So, and I think that the problem with that was that I was definitely seen as like the bigger threat. So like everyone always wanted me gone over her. So I think that definitely put a big target on my back. But it was super fun to play with her. I mean, we had a really good time together. So.
How did people find out you guys were close? You said it just kind of came out. Did you guys let someone know once you started making alliances, or was it something else?
I'm pretty sure after the first challenge, like the balloon challenge, we actually got a ride home, I think, from Bajan together. So they kind of, at that point, they kind of knew that we were friends. But also, we're on the same team together, so I'm pretty sure we wore like a rowing sweatshirt.
Oh yeah, that'll do it. I forgot
I'm
about
like
that.
90% sure you guys both had your like UConn like rowing sweatshirts for the second challenge.
Yeah, basically. And like we had all of our jackets and stuff, and it was so cold during the whole thing. So we were like, this isn't gonna work anymore.
Obviously, what happened last episode is you got turned on by Bijan and Alex from your NATO alliance. Do you think there was something you should have done either that round or in the rounds leading up to that to prevent it, or do you think it was just meant to be?
I mean, I think I definitely came out pretty strong after the first balloon challenge, and then obviously, like as we saw from the challenge that Matt won, right, the one that I got voted out on, like people voted me like biggest threat, thanks to running the game. So I think like I definitely had a big target on my back the whole time. I think it was actually funny because after I got voted out, Robbie, I'm pretty sure, was there, and he had just like said to me, he was like, we should have like worked together at the end. And like honestly, like I think that could have helped both of our games, just because we were both like the biggest threat the whole time. Like everyone wanted like one of us out. So I don't know, if somehow me and Robbie could have worked together, I feel like we could have gotten farther in the game. I don't know how far, but so yeah, I guess that would be one thing.
Every time we talk about season 2 with Robbie, he's like, I talked with Maddie after and we should have worked together. He's like, oh, what we were both big threats. Why didn't we do something? So yeah, I think he definitely feels the same way. And we see that when you guys go out back to back, that that's definitely a strategy sometimes, is to work those big threats together. But I feel like the sides were really tight, that someone just had to make that breakthrough and it didn't happen.
Yeah, and I think don't think that like in the game we saw that. I think like after we definitely saw that, but I think it would have been hard for like both of us to just like swallow our pride and like go up to the other one and be like, let's work together.
Yeah, absolutely. So in this episode, we see that Carolina got word from Bijan just a bit before the vote you go out that Bijan was voting for you. Did you get wind of that yourself? Was there any did she keep that from you? Was there any like last minute scramble there for either of you, or was it just Carolina decided that was the best move for her, just to let that go?
She did end up telling me. I kind of knew that I was going out just because like Bijan and Alex were playing like a pretty hard game, and like I just kind of knew that it was like I was, they had to make a move sometime. So even before she told me, I kind of figured that I would be the next to go. And there wasn't much I could do about it. We ended up voting for Barrett, but there wasn't much else I could do about it. I didn't have an idol or anything, so.
I feel like I remember that weekend specifically. You guys had like a meet, and you guys were really busy that round. So I think you guys also didn't have a lot of time to meet. I remember.
Yeah, I think we came like a little late to that, so it kind of just was like bad timing, and yeah.
Is there anyone outside of the NATO alliance you think you should have got a greater bond with? Obviously, you talked a little about Robbie. Was it specifically Robbie you think you should have built that bond up, or maybe Hope, Kira, Matt, Barrett, any of them?
I think maybe like Hope. I actually did run into her one time just like randomly, and we kind of just like talked. She seemed just like a really cool girl. And obviously me, Heidi, and Carolina were in a pretty tight alliance, and I don't know, I just felt like she could have fit in pretty well with us. But it just didn't really work out because she was, it was like the red tribe kind of against like our NATO alliance. And she had gotten out, so.
Yeah, I really thought if Hope and you guys had like bridged that gap, it would have been a completely different game. I felt like Hope was like a little too stuck into that red side when she was like likable and enjoyed enough by like you three girls, from what I know. So
yeah, we had actually tried, I think, to talk to her during the vote that we got Kira out, just to see if she would like want to flip. But I think she was pretty set on voting with the original Reds.
Yeah, it's a tough spot because it's like she could flip and it would work out, but like where does that put her? It's like she was almost on the bottom of both sides, and I feel like there needed to be some new configuration instead of this NATO versus red, but I don't really know. Those are my main questions. Do you guys have anything else you wanted to ask?
I do. Maddie, did you ever think about flipping on Carolina or leaving her? Because I know you guys sort of got labeled. You were friends, obviously, but once everyone's like, oh, they're the rowing girls, like you're this inseparable duo in everyone's mind. Did you ever try to break that, or were you just like, okay, this is what we're gonna do, be it two?
Part of me was like, I would flip on her if like that would save my game. Like obviously I would, even if that put me in a better spot in the game. But I think like honestly, I was just like the target. Even like without Carolina, like the first challenge, like I went out pretty hard. And I think just like the whole, even when I kind of like flipped on Sawyer to vote him out, I think people also saw that as like a big move for me. So I think like at that point, like she was like a good number for me, and I brought her in with Heidi, and then she helped me get in an alliance with Bijan. So at that point, we were kind of just like helping each other get a bigger alliance. And there wasn't really a point in the game where I felt that flipping on her would have helped. But if something happened, like, I would have to help my game.
I agree. I don't think there was a chance for you to, but I like that you would have. So thank you.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely a tough spot when you're in such a visible duo and you're the bigger visible person from the duo. It's like, what do? Do you vote that person out? Then everyone's like, wow, she's sketchy. She's voting out her best ally or her like good friend. But like, you kind of just got to hope that that person gets voted out by someone else almost, because it's like, it's kind of a lose-lose situation. I think being together at the swap actually hurt you guys, because in that way it just made you guys that much closer, that much earlier. But I don't really know.
Yeah, I think like just thinking about it now, I think if she flipped on me, that could have helped her game a lot. Like if she ended up flipping and voting me out, like I think that could have helped her.
Yeah, it's possible. I think we'll have to see how that turns out. But yeah. Anything else you guys have for Maddie? Those are what I had. All right. Thank you, Maddie, for coming on. It was great to chat with you just for a bit and hear your thoughts on the game. If you have anything else you want to talk about, feel free. Or if you want to stick around, you can, but you're absolutely free to go. But yeah, thanks for coming on the live show. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for
Nice to
coming
see
out,
you.
Maddie.
Yeah.
Happy belated birthday to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. That episode actually came out on my 21st birthday, so.
Oh, big party.
Yeah.
I bet that was absolutely what you were doing that night, was watching.
Yeah, I didn't watch it later, but it did come out on my birthday, so.
Nice.
Maddie, thank you for being a part of everything. You're always like, I don't know, such a positive force in what we're doing. And I always appreciated getting to have you be a part of everything. So thanks for coming on to this as well.
Yeah, no, it was an awesome experience. Like, honestly, I love watching the show right now. Like, it's my favorite thing to do. It's so cool to see everything, go on. But yeah, thanks for having me on. It was nice to see you guys.
Nice
Absolutely.
to see you too, Maddie.
Nice to see you too, Maddie. Hope you have a good
Bye.
break.
Thanks.
All right, bye.
She's sweet.
All right, that was Maddie. Nice talking to Maddie. It's been a bit. Don't see Maddie as much. All right. Let's get right back into things where we were. So still start of the episode, so we didn't get very far. So that's good. So Alex is just talking about the fall of the last vote. He's like, Maddie's out. Maddie was hiding Carolina's #1 ally. So great person for him to get out, he thinks. And I think, like we said in the last episode, seems like a great person for everyone from that group to get out besides Bijan. But Bijan kind of complied. But Alex in this episode, big thing for him, and this gets built upon, is now with Maddie out of the equation, this relationship with Heidi is really big for him. And he can kind of utilize that, whereas Bijan's maybe a little closer to the guys. Alex is a little closer to Heidi. So we'll talk about that a little later. But Heidi is like, if Matt loses immunity, he's going home. So obviously in this episode, Matt does win immunity. He doesn't go home. But do you guys think that statement still holds true as we go into the finale? Is Matt dead in the water without immunity?
Yeah.
I think Alex hit it on the head. The people who are left in the game, if they were voted out, they would vote for Matt at the end. The people who have already been voted out of the game would vote for Matt at the end. So if Matt gets to the end, you don't stand a chance. So he has to be everyone else's #1 that they're targeting.
Yeah, he's pretty much, from what I saw, dead in the water. I will say it was like a really interesting choice on Heidi's part to like kind of drill that into him if she wants him to lose. Like, if the point is to have him drop, I was surprised that she would like kind of be like, hey, you're going home if you don't win, because then he won. Like, and he was just going to be that much more motivated to stay there.
Yeah, I was sort of thinking the same thing. But I think she kind of realized it too, though, because she said in her confessional, like, she was saying it and then like not even to like motivate him. I forget exactly what she said, but I think she definitely realized that may have fueled his fire a little bit.
Yeah,
Heidi's just spitting facts. She's not thinking strategically there. I don't think she's looking at worms.
She was the worm.
I think she kind of just motivated him for future challenges too. Like, it's not even just that challenge. Like, he knows now, and he's like, all right, I'm going to keep going. Although maybe not, because this past vote, like, that was, I'm sure we'll get to it. It was very complicated and a lot of things went down. So perhaps that might be his saving grace. But, like, I don't know. He's won too many challenges at this point. So
I think the only thing that could spare Matt from having to be a challenge beast is the fact that this vote didn't go according to plan. No one walked into that tribal thinking they were going to be writing down Alex's name. No one. So once that all happens, maybe there's different paths, and no one knows who they can actually trust anymore. If that was it, yeah, Rupert the Worm for all stars. He was gigantic. The worm was like this long. But I think because no one walked out of tribal with the plan they went into it being executed. So that leaves doors open for Matt because now everyone has to make a new plan. It could be that all of their new plans are still just, hey, Matt has to go, but he can try to make it so that it's something else.
All right, so we get into this challenge, our endurance challenge, and a lot of cute moments during this, and a lot of behind the scenes stuff. But start things off, everyone's got their arms up, and Bijan, right while this challenge is getting set up, he's like, "Man, I have a season 8 of Game of Thrones premiere party to go to." And Bijan was on that, so that's why we brought it up. And I think it hurts a lot more in retrospect. No spoilers, but it wasn't good. So that's a tough one. A year and a half later to look back on. Poor Bijan. To be fair, I think the premiere was the best episode of the season, and then it isn't. But was Bijan
longer than he said he would? It still was.
What did he say? 2 minutes?
He said he would. He said if we didn't start earlier because he needed to get back for their premiere, he'd just pull his hand down like 30 seconds in. He gave us 3. I think he tried.
It's always so interesting watching like people's motivation in endurance challenges, like how long they're really willing to go, like for a game. Mm-hmm. It's a game, like, and then they just get the like competitive spirit, and then they're like, I'm not going to drop. And then there are people that like literally just like will not do the things that they actually have to do just for that, which is crazy to me.
I think
yeah, go.
I was just going to say, like, watching it back, of course, I'm thinking of, like, you know, our endurance challenge. But, and, like, I think particularly, like, I would say that the situation I was in was most similar to Matt, where it was, like, I either win or that's it. And, like, there really is, like, if you're, like, there was nothing that would have gotten me, like, out of our endurance challenge, and I think that Matt was in a similar situation. But like, God, watching it, I was like, I'm so glad we didn't have to do that. Like, I know how stubborn I am. I would have been up there forever, and that would have hurt so much worse, I think, because like
that
your arm, like that,
your whole shoulder and back. Yep.
Yeah. At least like ours is kind of distributed, right? Like it was equally like my legs and my arms hurt, but like just like
Lindsay, what do you do it for an M&M cookie?
But what, that Ryan ate?
Yeah, I think. Oh my God!
Oh, I mean, I got one of my friends put chapstick on during our endurance challenge. That was my like little like.
Your luxury item.
Throw you a bone.
I think the tough part about endurance challenges is we test a lot of the challenges like briefly or just theoretically, but it's tough to test an endurance challenge because first of all, we're not doing it for the long period of time, but like you don't really know how long people are going to go because if you're doing it, you don't have the same like mental willpower for some of these that like a player whose life in this game that you've committed like weeks to like is maybe putting into it. Like if you're just testing it, it doesn't matter if you lose, but it means a lot more when you're in the game.
It's true. Also, like if you think about it, like endurance challenges tend to happen in the point of the game where like you can't really offer something like a temptation to drop. So it's not like you can use that as leverage either. So there's no way to like really see how long people are going to go.
Exactly.
We tried that in season 1 and then we all just fell off.
Yeah. Well, season 1 we had an endurance challenge that was the opposite. It was very short, so my temptations couldn't come out.
Another flaw in testing endurance challenges. When we tested the polls that you'll see in season 1, like I was hanging on that fine. I was like, I could be here for a few hours, like no problem. Then it rained, and It was a lot. It was really cold when they actually.
So
I think
cold.
we dried them off still, but
We
like
tried.
You
with
did.
the
Yeah,
with
you
the
brought a towel.
condensation and like the weather, it was still just bad.
Slippery.
We brought cookies and chips, and I think we probably had some sort of secret advantage in that bag that we were going to give out. It lasted less than 20 minutes.
I don't remember. So Carolina drops at 32 minutes, which obviously embarrasses Bijan. He's like, man, but I don't really think Carolina needed it. Doesn't seem like Carolina's name came up at all in this episode, so good on her, I guess. Heidi drops out at 1 hour 7 minutes, so double what Carolina did, and that one is bad because Heidi in this episode is not looking to be in a good spot. And then next we have Matt and Barrett. They're talking a bit. They're like, we want to get Heidi out next and then get Bijan out next. Do you think that is the right, like, logical course of events for Matt and Barrett to have some longevity in this game? Obviously, Matt and Barrett start with Heidi and then switch to Alex in this episode. Do you think specifically for those two, this was the right change for them?
No.
I mean, I think,
Go
but
for
I
it.
think there's been a lot of talk. Like Heidi's name has obviously been floating around for a while, so I think that like they can maybe kind of cling to the hope that like now since they didn't get rid of her this week, next week maybe they'll go back to Heidi. But I think unfortunately, like at least Bijan's main motivation was like to break up Alex and Heidi, and Alex is gone, so he doesn't really need to do that anymore.
I think unfortunately for them, Heidi's like the cat with 9 lives, and like her name has been dragged for like weeks to try to get her out, and she's still here. And now we're at the point where nobody's able to hide, and now everybody is starting to see all of these players that are like really playing well. And so unfortunately for them, it's like everybody's a target now, and so Heidi may not seem like the biggest one, even though she definitely is up there. Like she is able to escape elimination week after week after week, just because people trust her and give her information that she definitely should not know, and that's like the biggest downfall.
I completely agree. I think Heidi has been in this like not the top threat spot, but like people respect Heidi, everyone likes Heidi, and they think that she has overcome adversity in this game. And anytime you have that underdog story, people will support it from a jury perspective. So they're just like, we got to get rid of Heidi so that she doesn't get to the end. Because once you get down to 6 and 5, you're just voting out the biggest threats. Heidi's still not the biggest threat. So that gets her to like maybe final 3 at this point. So they should be scared of her. Because
I think struck a little too early with her.
What's that?
I said I think they struck
if
a little
Shane
too
comes
early.
back, I would love to hear what he has.
I think it's you lagging, Ethan. I can't tell.
Oh,
if it's
I
me.
can lag.
Yeah, I think it's Ethan.
Okay.
All I
Yeah,
said
you
was
can go.
they struck a little too early with her. I think they should have waited a week or two, because maybe they would have been more like easily able to get her out this week if they hadn't already been trying so hard to get her out.
I entirely agree. I think they threw the punches too early. I think going after Heidi was the right like move, but they didn't time it well, and now don't have the numbers. And I think she's probably in like the best spot coming out of this episode going into our finale.
Yeah, agreed.
I think the thing that like just keeps working for her is like, I mean, like obviously I've met Heidi, and like Heidi's so nice that people just tell her information. Like it just keeps falling in her lap. She's like, oh well, like there's an idol, and I could probably use this to my advantage. Like, and it's just like she just keeps finding things out, and you're like, wow, like how do you just get people to tell you things?
I mean, I laughed when she called Bijan and was like,
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, no way he's gonna do that. But that was like a big pivotal moment. He was like, uh-oh, like that's not good.
Heidi said what I've been asking people who have been on the block to say and to do. And she's like, my back's up against the wall and I have nothing to lose because I'm going home if I don't fuck shit up. and then she fucked shit up. Someone did it.
It's always the most disappointing when people like say they're gonna fuck shit up, and then they like get to tribal, and it's like very lackluster.
Sheepish, right?
Yeah, like that is very disappointing. So the fact that she didn't do that is great.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ghost Island Laurel or Blood vs. Water Monica. Two legends of saying they will shake up the game and never doing it. So let's pace right back into this challenge. Barrett drops hour 28. So about 20 minutes after Heidi. So we're down to Alex and Matt. So Matt is telling Alex him and Barrett won't vote for Alex. Bijan probably won't because they're close. So drop out. Give me this immunity because Matt knows he needs it. And Alex isn't really budging. And Matt kind of says after the challenge that he wanted to work with Alex. But Alex didn't really want to say much. He's introverted. He's quiet. He kind of keeps to himself and is strategic and people are working with him, but it's not very comforting. And Matt's I got Alex to drop by kind of being more assertive. Do you think Alex's timidness is, I can't say that, timidness. You think his timidness is, when I say it quick, I don't say the D. Timidness is the reason he gets voted out in this episode, or do you think it's a bigger picture than that?
I don't think it's his timidness at all. I think he made the mistake of trusting Heidi and or in general giving out too much information and then getting caught in his lies. And when you look at somebody in the eye, when you looked at him in the eye, you could tell he was lying. So there's just I think he just got caught up in his web of lies kind of right there. And it's because he was playing a strategic game, and sometimes it's so hard to keep track of who you're telling what. I think he just got caught up in it.
Because I think I almost was asking myself, why? Why are you, why? And I understand that, obviously,
why what? What
Heidi, why did he tell Heidi? I don't, and I understand that, I think he probably felt bad because, they had a connection he felt, and he didn't want to see her go, and he couldn't do anything about it, so he was trying to say, this is what's happening, this is why we can't do anything, I'm sorry. And maybe his thought process was well, later, when she's on the jury, if I get to the end, then she won't feel bad about me voting for her. But I don't know. I was just when he did that, I was don't do that.
Well, it's really interesting that he was kind of accused of being timid and reserved and not having that human nature, and then he did the exact thing that he said was being accused of not having. He appealed to her emotional human level, which is sometimes people's one biggest mistake in the game, but also just part of it. People do get caught up in the emotions, so it's just funny that he was accused of not having that and then did exactly that.
Yeah, I think my favorite part of Alex's character arc is he's kind of he's a little stiff. He's not super personable, I guess, but people like him. People are working with him, and he's one of the big strategic forces in this game. And it's kind of the minute he becomes a little more emotional, a little more outward, which normally you think, oh, that's a good thing. That's actually his downfall in this game, is not just sticking to his guns and what was working for him. So yeah.
I don't think his timidness killed him here. I also don't necessarily think him trying to bust out killed him here. I think it was a culmination of he shouldn't have told Heidi about the idol, but also if Heidi goes out this round and Alex is safe, Alex is in the exact spot we were just talking about Heidi being in. He's in a perfect spot going into a finale with 5 people left. So sort of strategically for everyone else, in not voting Heidi, Alex was the best person for them to go after. I think for everyone else, as crazy as these last 2 votes are, as a game bot head up here, I think for the larger groups that are still in the game, they made the perfect moves at the right times. So I don't know what exactly does Alex in here, but I think it was a deserved fiery exit in the end.
So we get yeah, go.
I was just gonna say, like, I almost think if it was anyone else that he had kind of like exposed, he probably would have been fine. But because it was Bijan, who's like a big, like, he's not afraid to be like, well, did you do this? Okay, we're gonna vote you out. Like, that's really, I think anyone else probably would have either like taken time to think about it and like deal with it next vote, whereas Bijan was like, all right, flip it then. And I think that was probably like the last little piece that put together his vote out.
Yeah, I think Heidi really takes the initiative in driving this, but like it's Bijan, like he's the one who first. There's whispering at tribal, but Bijan's the one that gets up. Bijan's the one that kind of starts the live tribal and dictates this narrative. So I think it's more like Heidi planted the seeds, and Bijan is still the strategic force that is getting this done and choosing that Alex is really the one that should be going home here. Moving back in the challenge to wrap that up. So players have been on their things for hour and a half, 2 hours. Ethan and Heidi's out of the challenge. Talking to Ethan, I'm like, why don't we get them something like some kind of temptation food? They probably won't drop like directly for that, but like, I mean, if someone wants to drop or is dropping first, they'll get them some food, be a little survivory, sure. So Bijan and Heidi, or not Bijan, Ethan and Heidi walk to Insomnia for like, it takes them like an hour to get there and back. And so we're like nearing 3 hours into this challenge when they come back. And they have 2 cookies. One of them's for me. And so they hand the pack.
Is for Ryan.
They hand the pack to me. And I'm like, damn, I'm starving. So I'm eating them. And then I'm like, so I eat my cookies, and then I'm like, all right, so we're gonna announce this, blah blah blah. So if you want to drop, you get a cookie. And I'm like, Ethan, where's the cookie? And he's like, what? I handed you the cookie. I'm like, no, you didn't. I forgot. I forgot my order was 1 cookie, and so Ethan just handed me 2 cookies, and I assumed they were both mine because I was hungry.
I probably got you like a hot chocolate too. I think I made a 7-Eleven sweep there.
I don't know about that. I don't remember that.
This story comes up at parties. We talk about it randomly just because it's so funny.
It was so embarrassing.
It was so good.
Because they were waiting. We cut it out, obviously. But they're waiting an hour for like a fucking cookie. If one of
we told them I was coming.
This is one of the most anticipated cookies of all time, and yeah, it's rip cookie.
Oh my god!
In my stomach, they never got that cookie. I really should owe Alex a cookie. Next time I see him, I'm friends with Alex, and I don't think I've ever gotten him that cookie. So yeah, temptation cookie. On the other side, you got Rupert the Worm dancing about. Matt's arguing to Alex before Alex goes down. He's like, "You're safer than I am. I don't want to work with you." And Alex kind of he drops out at 3 hours, 5 minutes. So obviously not the right move in retrospect, since that immunity would have done Alex some wonders this round. But I don't think personally this is that bad for Alex to drop. I think his main fault is the way he handles the round, and he seemed pretty set up coming out of this challenge.
Losing immunity didn't send Alex home. No, I don't think he needed to win it. Matt definitely did. But losing to Matt was not why Alex went home.
I do think that his paranoia didn't help his case, because he was so paranoid that he was the one that was next to go. But like, he wouldn't have been. But I think actually that might just be kind of why he ended up like kind of revealing too much. He might have just been paranoid. Like sometimes people get paranoid and they reveal things that they shouldn't just because they're like in the moment and they're like, crap, I just said that. And then like it comes out of your mouth before you even realize. So he was just paranoid in that moment, and I get it, but he didn't need to win it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a tough spot, and I've played like my own online Survivor games, and there's some points where I'm in a good position, and the game's just at like a quiet point or a slow point. Maybe your alliance is doing well, and you just kind of get in your head about it. You're like, wow, it's so quiet or slow at this point in the game. Is there something bigger going on? Am I falling behind? Like, is there a plan going on against me? So when you're playing Survivor, you always have that itch to especially if you're like a proactive player, to just be on the assertive side of things, and that's just not how Survivor works always. Sometimes you just gotta rest on your laurels.
Sometimes it's good to be king. Other times it gets your head cut off.
Yeah.
Survivor is about balancing those two things. It's about balancing a million different things.
So Matt, after this challenge, obviously feeling great because he was in such a tough spot as he's been. Now he has immunity once more, second in a row, third of the season, and he's won every challenge he's participated in. I didn't even realize this, but I didn't even think about the first merge immunity he didn't participate in, and then
he wasn't there. You're right.
Yeah.
Oh,
he wasn't there, and then obviously he was forced to sit out of one by winning the immunity before. So I mean, he survived 2 rounds without immunity, but every immunity challenge he's been in so far, he's won. So I think that doesn't exactly help Matt's case here because it's looking rough immunity challenge wise if the others want to snag a spot. So Alex, he wants to beat Matt because he'll sweep the jury vote. He's like, that obviously makes sense. Barrett wants the girls out. Barrett wants to just continue beating on the other side from the last vote. Heidi wants the boys out. She wants to continue back on what the NATO train was doing. So it seems like for a second we're back to the same steamrolls we've seen this merge. But it gets interesting as Alex and Heidi are talking a little. They're talking about their relationship, and Alex and Heidi are talking about Bijan. They're like, Bijan is the best player right now, socially, strategically. He's going to destroy a jury vote. So obviously Bijan plays his idol this episode and is moving on to our finale next week. But moving into this finale, do you guys think Bijan is clocked? Do you think Bijan can make it to the end?
It's going to depend. As we've seen from Bijan, he's not good at winning challenges.
No.
And I don't think he has to win all 3 because that's a final 2. So there's 3 more challenges. I think he's going to have to win at least one of them. He's going to have to hope Matt doesn't win 2 of those and that he wins one of them is how he gets to the end. Things have to help him because I don't think he individually is going to win all 3. But he has work to do still. Bijan has been the best social strategic player, but you have to outwit, outplay, and outlast. So he has to figure out how he can get to the end. Now being the number 1 threat.
Because I think nobody's gonna like choose to go up against Bijan in the end, right? Like I think everyone's in the same boat of wanting to be sitting next to Carolina in the end. So I think if he can recognize that and then like kind of take that knowledge and use it to his advantage and figure out how to get around it, then he does have a path to the end. But otherwise, like he's sitting in a big target position, especially where we're getting down to like less and less people.
Yeah, touchy subjects really kind of ruined a lot of things for him. Like
I hate that challenge.
Yeah, he was like really doing well, like with people not realizing how good at the game he was actually like playing, and then touchy subjects happened, and then people like know about his idol, and now he's just got this like huge target because he's flip-flopping week after week. So it's like his path is significantly like worse than everybody else's besides Matt's. Matt probably has the worst path to the end, but Bijan's is a close second because nobody is going to want to be up against that much of a strategic and social force. That's 2 out of the 3. And that's like honestly probably a problem for Matt too. Now it's like he just made kind of like a good strategic move for himself by getting Alex out, and now he's kind of playing up his strategy. So that's like bad news for Matt. But Bijan is there with him, so
I think at this point Matt has nothing to lose though, so I think that's good on Matt. So Alex would rather vote out Barrett than Heidi. Heidi's the name going out this round. But Alex is like, I'd rather vote out Barrett because Barrett and Matt are closer to Bijan, while Heidi is working with him. He's developed a relationship with Heidi in this game, and he's like, it'd be better for Alex if Barrett were out because Barrett's not going to have his back. Heidi will take him deep. Bijan will take him deep, but Barrett isn't going to do that. So I think that is one part of why we see what happens in this episode. And then Heidi is obviously kind of figuring things out. She hears her name thrown out a lot. She kind of, if you're struggling at this deep in the game and trying to save yourself, I think the writing's kind of on the wall when people either aren't telling you names or just kind of being shifty about it. So she's trying to figure out if she can change things at this point in the episode. So she has Carolina on her side. Carolina would rather vote Barrett than Heidi. They're close. And Bijan starts talking. Bijan's like, Heidi, we have these alliance meetings, this NATO alliance that consisted of like Bijan, Carolina, Heidi, Maddie, Alex. They've been meeting and to watch Survivor. And they're like, Bijan's like, Heidi and Alex are hanging out for hours after we all leave, like after the episode's over. So Bijan has been developing, like, noticing this connection over the past few episodes. He's like, I really want Heidi out because of this. He wants to break this up. And then Heidi, amidst her scrambling, and it's kind of awkwardly portrayed in the episode because the way we had to do it, because it actually happened like minutes before Tribal, like in the minutes while we're walking to Tribal, they're already at Tribal and they'd started talking these things. So these confessionals, like right before Tribal, are discussing what is happening like at Tribal, like before the cameras are turning on. So Heidi learns from Alex that Bijan has the idol because Alex is like just trying to like comfort her, saying like, I'm not sure there's much I can do. And Alex lets it slip that Bijan has the idol. So at this point, Alex is considering flipping, but he can't because in a tie, Bijan is immune and would have no benefit in flipping. Because I think it's like if Alex, Heidi, Carolina, that's 3. Then you have Bijan, Matt, Barrett. They're all voting for Heidi. That's 3. When your swing vote is Bijan, there's no really point of swinging when he's immune because I think Bijan has nothing to lose if they go to rocks because he's immune. So
I'm seeing any of them leave by rocks.
Right. He doesn't care. But I think this is kind of the reason why Alex lets it slip that Bijan is the idol. I never really like completely understood that, but I think in this episode I kind of get it because Alex is just trying to explain to Heidi why he can't vote someone else out. He's kind of just like, Bijan's immune, so it can't do anything. So obviously Alex gets the short end of the stick here. What should Alex have done? Did Alex just need to like shut up and roll with things? Is that, we talked about this, but was he just too emotional here?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sorry, Alex. Yeah.
So Bijan recognizes Alex told Heidi she's going home, and there's some cute editing in there from Cooper. I very much enjoyed the
tears.
And but he's like, what? Alex told Heidi? Bijan's been like picking up on this like alliance pairing for a while, and now he's like, wow, now Alex is telling Heidi about my idol. Alex is telling Heidi that he might vote for Bijan eventually. Was Bijan right to be so frustrated about this and turn this vote on Alex? Or do you think Bijan would have been better off sticking with Alex, who's been a loyal ally to him thus far in this game?
I don't think it matters so much. Like, I think if Alex had stuck around, like, I don't think that he would have stayed loyal to him for that much longer. I think kind of like for the reasons we were just talking about as to why like Bijan would need to win immunities to get to the end.
I don't know necessarily. I mean, it seems like everybody kind of knew about his idol already, besides Heidi, from my perspective. But like, I don't know. Flipping on Alex, I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter because people will target him no matter what. But like, I don't know. I'm always curious to see like that mindset. Like, I guess we'll learn more in the next episode of like why he was like, oh, like Alex is like somebody that should go. But like, considering the fact that the others will probably easily turn on him, I would have maybe given it a second thought. But in the long run, it probably won't make much of a difference because if Alex had played the way he'd been playing up until this point, if he had stayed, Bijan probably would have gone regardless. So because he's a smart, perceptive person.
I think.
Go ahead, Lindsay.
Go ahead, Ethan. I was just gonna say, like, from having like done it before, I think the second you get wind that like someone you thought you could trust, you really can't trust as much as you thought, you get like super worried about it. Like I think he said in the episode, like, well, what else has he told people? And I think that's definitely. I mean, obviously we didn't have a lot of trust in Earl, but like the second we got like wind that Earl wasn't, we talked about this a little before, but like the second we got wind that he was playing games, like we were like, no. It's just like, I don't know. I think it's one of those things where like in the moment where you're like kind of caught off guard by something, you're like fight or flight kicks in and you're like, well, we got to just get rid of them.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that if Alex had told Bijan that he was letting Heidi know,
yeah,
and that if there was more time, Alex would still be in this game. Yep, Bijan says it there.
I agree.
Everything's like within an hour. Like this happened rapid fire. We as a production team didn't know it was going to happen until it happened. So just that like in the moment, anxiety induced, adrenaline pumped. You're just like, oh shit, what do I do? I get why he voted out Alex. I think maybe if he had another day, he might not have. But I still stand on what I said earlier. I think it was the best move for the 5 who are still in the game to get rid of Alex. Because if Alex is in the final 5, I think he probably wins. Like he has the most ways to win in that final 5. So I think getting rid of him was the best move for the 5 that are left. But it may not have happened if we had more time. I think because it was only an hour, that just the rapidness of it all. Yeah.
Hour of what? Like tribal?
Of like this information is now what's on the table. This is the situation that has changed, and then going to tribal and whispering and all of the craziness. I think the moment carried it through. I don't necessarily know if this move makes it if there was more delay between events.
I think in this spot, I think in this spot we say that like I don't think Alex's timidness and like being quiet thus far has been a bad thing, but I think at this live tribal is where things are really weak for Alex and his skill set, because I think Alex really cannot take control of this situation. Like Bijan and Heidi clearly have control of the way that the direction of this vote is going through their whispering and what they're doing in this vote. And Alex is just kind of like denying and stone face, but he doesn't really seem to have much of a rebuttal other than like, no.
Alex needs to work on his poker face. We see him when he's like going up to Bijan as they're in the like whisper huddles. Bijan's like, did you tell her? And he's like, no, I didn't. Like better than that, but not much better. Like Alex, I could have told you were lying from across the quad. Like that. It was there.
Kind of what Lindsay said about like when you learn information in the moment and like somebody like comes at you and is like, did you do this? And it's like in front of everybody and like a live tribal and there's only like 5 minutes before the vote. Like, what are you gonna like it? There's like almost nothing you can do.
I'm
like,
shocked.
I mean, like, I don't know if necessarily like I think he still like would have been called out even if he had a good poker face. Like Bijan knew that he was lying, so there was nothing that he could have done to, in my like from my perspective, that like to make it seem like he was lying less, because Bijan was like, yeah, he's lying. Like no matter what, like he knows that he told her. So I think like it kind of, his fate was sealed when Heidi revealed that information. Anytime I've seen a live tribal, like we had a couple of them in our season, and like they had like 10, 15, 20 minutes to like talk before the vote. It always ended with somebody like you didn't think was like on the chopping block going home. So it always happens like that.
They're fun. They're fun to watch. I would hate to be one.
Yeah.
So seeing the live tribal, go Lindsay. Go.
Are you sure? You can just okay. I was just gonna say because I don't think that it was really like, you know, like Bijan's gonna play his idol no matter what. Everyone's gonna find out in 15 minutes he has an idol. I don't think he really cared that anyone knew he had the idol. It was just like yeah. I mean, obviously Ethan said it and Bijan said it in the comments, but like if Alex had just said, I was just trying to like make her feel better and like whatever, it probably would have gone a lot better for him. Because I think Bijan would have just been like, okay, well, I'm playing it anyways, so it's like fine.
I think Bijan probably would have been in a better spot too if Alex had just owned up to it as well, because then Alex would still be in, and maybe Alex would have flipped on him as well, but it would probably be like less of a bad situation for him than he's currently in.
I want to pivot the conversation a little bit. Now that we're on Bijan's idol, he pulls it out at Tribal. It was a tangled mess, which was hilarious. But the fact that is like Ryan asks who knew about Bijan's idol beforehand, and Carolina, Barrett, and Heidi all raised their hands saying, "No, I didn't know about it before this." Heidi's lying because she's the one who's stirring the pot right now. I don't think Carolina and Barrett actually knew. I don't remember if Carolina knew.
Carolina learned like an hour before Bijan. I think she said that briefly. She's like, yeah, actually, I kind of meant just like not before today.
You're right. Barrett is one of the most fascinating people we've ever put on this show, because no one else could be blindsided for like 3 votes straight, be wrong, then have someone pull out an idol, be left out of whispering conversations, have to be prompted by the host to go join one.
That made me laugh. Like when you have like just Barrett and Carolina standing there not knowing what to do.
Who are you talking to?
I was just like, oh my god.
No one else in the whole world could have all of that happen to them and then walk out more confident than Barrett does.
What do we think of Barrett?
Where he's just like, yeah, I think I just made myself in a better spot. I'm like, you don't even know what happened.
What do we think of Barrett right now? So Carolina was voted like least deserving to still be in the game, but what do we think about Barrett and his like jury position going into the finale? Is Barrett someone that could beat Carolina if they ended up in a final 2 together? I mean, we see he's kind of like this aloof character in the merge a little, but maybe he has enough Moynihan like allies and support just from working with them.
I think Carolina is probably the only person he could beat out of who's left. And it's fun because like I actually thought like at first when he had that like title lines with Robbie, like I thought he was like well aware of what was going on and everything. And then like I think too when we get to the touchy subjects, and he's just like completely off on a lot of the answers. And I was like, that's what you think is happening? Like, I don't know.
Touchy subjects is a good way for someone to overexpose themselves, for the group to expose someone, and then for someone else to just be like, yeah, I'm clueless, I'm the GOAT. That happened. All 3 of those things happened.
Yeah.
I don't know what his jury position looks like, because one thing that like people forget about often with these games is sometimes juries vote bitter. And like if he makes it to the end, like, I mean, there's potential that like a jury, depending on who he's sitting against, a jury could be bitter and vote for him to win. He's been on the bottom of a lot of votes and necessarily hasn't known what's going on. But if he turns it on for the last, bit of the game, that could be seen as a strength of, oh, he didn't know what was happening. Then he overcame the adversity, and then boom, he's in the final two. But the odds of that happening when there are still, actually pretty high, considering that there are like 3 major players left. So he's going to have to make some moves to get them out if he wants like a genuine shot at winning. Although against Carolina, maybe it depends. She could do the exact same thing, and then it's like kind of like a flip, like coin flip almost. But she's been a lot more perceptive onto what's actually happening. Like 2 weeks ago, she was like, Bijan is the best player in this game. And she was right. But why didn't you act on it then instead of waiting until the last time when he could have used an idol? So that's my
absolutely. I agree.
Good read. Go ahead, Lindsay.
Lindsay, do you have something to say?
I was surprised that he made it out of. So the vote that Hope went out, I was actually surprised. I thought it was going to be him, and I think my why I would have probably gone for him is just because he was eligible to play in the next immunity challenge. Like if you get rid of him, then you're guaranteed that either Alex, Bijan, or Maddie wins. That's someone in that alliance guaranteed to win immunity. But so like I was sort of surprised he like got past that point. But then I feel like that's kind of where he like started to fall off, is like after he got through that vote, we kind of started to see less of like knowledge of what's going on from him.
See, he survived that too. For same reasoning.
Yeah,
I think it's underrated though when you know a challenge like that is coming up where there's 3 members of your alliance and then like someone else. Honestly, it's not really good when a different member of your alliance wins immunity ever, because that just increases the odds of you being the target if there's blowback. I mean, obviously, Barrett not being in that challenge increases the odds in general of you winning immunity. I think from 1 in, was it 4 people in that challenge?
1 in
4, 1 in 3. Maybe that's worth it. But I mean, I would much rather Barrett have immunity than if I was Carolina, my ally Maddie have immunity. Then if they're targeting a duo, they might think, oh, we need to target a duo now. Let's get Carolina out. So that's where I think that goes both ways.
Good point.
So one last moment I like. There's obviously a lot of whispering during this tribal, a lot of things going on, but I think a highlight of it for me is we actually got a fun Carolina moment where I think Mark, the cameraman, asked Carolina, who's going home? And Carolina is like right next to Alex, and she like side eyes him.
Yeah.
that was like
made me laugh.
a side eye emoji personified.
I didn't know that happened until this episode. I didn't see that in real time. That's so good.
Great.
And then Bijan plays his idol after everyone votes. Bijan bunched the fuck out of that idol. So I have it here. This is our wooden immunity idol. It's a little. There we go. Yeah, this is the immunity idol. He had it like this and like twisted around. So like I don't even know what he did to it. I think this is a funny thing. I think the difference between Robbie and Bijan is night and day in how Bijan he found his idol. He like threw it in his backpack and he like didn't look at it until he played it. Like he just his backpack bounced around and probably hit the floor a bunch of times in his dorm or whatever he studied. And then at Tribal he's like, oh, I have an idol in here, and he just takes out this crumpled pile. And then you have Robbie has his idol. After he finds it, Robbie was the director of an organization I was a part of on campus, a club I was a part of. So I knew Robbie from that. And Robbie, I go to one of these meetings that Robbie's running. And I should have talked about this when Robbie was here last week. But I go to one of these meetings, and this is right after Robbie's found the idol. I know Robbie's found the idol. And Robbie's like, yo, Ryan. And Robbie opens his jacket. He's like, yo, look, I got the idol. I'm like, Robbie, what are you doing? This is just a club meeting. Why are you wearing the idol? I'm like, dude, you're
crazy.
You're such a goon.
It's always so funny to me watching people who are like so like nonchalant with their idols. They're just like, here, I have it. Like when they find it, they go running around campus. I'm like, what are you doing? Like anybody could be here. Anybody could see you. You have no idea who's friends with who. Like, like what?
It was so funny.
So many times, a couple times in our own shows and other college survivors too, where it's just like, my friend like overheard these two kids talking about Survivor in the library, and then they told me everything, and now I'm flipping on my alleys. Like that shit happens.
Yeah.
It's not like an isolated island where you know where everyone is, and the only people near you are the people you're working with or against. It's like you're on a campus, and there's like these people you don't know that you're probably sitting with maybe when you're strategizing in the dining hall or out on campus, and you gotta take them into consideration because maybe you don't want to be talking so loud because people know everywhere. It's a big campus, but it's not that big.
The worst is when you're like placing an idol and like somebody happens to walk by that like knows somebody in the cast, or like you're like walking from like a sketchy location, and then like it's like, ooh, I saw like a producer at like a sketchy location, and then everybody just like goes there, and of course they don't find it, but like
without spoiling anything, we do have a bit of a fourth wall break in season 3, where the university campus engages with us a little more than we wanted them to. But that's part of the fun of college Survivor, honestly.
Yeah, no, agreed.
When we were looking in our season, we had, I think it was a police officer asked us what we were doing. Like we're digging around in trees.
Yeah, it looks
and
really
we were
weird.
just like, oh, we're looking for something for a club, and he was like, okay, but yeah.
I remember Heidi and Shane. Oh, go ahead, Shane.
I was just gonna say, somebody said it was a scavenger hunt. The exact same thing happened. I was like filming, and you were like, "Why are you filming?" And I was like, "I don't want to."
Don't worry about it.
It's so much to explain. There's too many layers to just like say it outright. So usually you just say some like bullshit to.
Heidi and Shane just told people they were playing Pokemon Go in a graveyard to throw people off. I had to explain away to the police what we were doing during a challenge. It happens. Yeah.
It's a weird club. It's not easily.
It's weird, but it's awesome.
I think on the topic of idols and stuff too, something I really didn't realize until watching this season was like, I think specifically when Bijan was looking for his idol, and he's like, yeah, so I was driving around, like I never even thought like, because like we're looking for idols, we're walking from like Stores Center to like Towers, which for like non-UConn people, that's like a mile. Like it's not a mile, but like it's far. And like I just think of like the advantage of being able to like drive around and look for like these key things and clues. I was like, oh, like I never even like thought of that until he said he was driving, he saw the 3 flagpoles, and I was like, oh damn, like that makes a difference.
Alex says in chat, Doug from season 1, he searched Mirror Lake for hours because it's so Ryan. That's why you don't use production. We are careful when we hide our idols. We are careful.
We go out in the dead of night. We shut off location services. Yeah. We're pretty sneaky about it, actually.
That's what I did, honestly. And somebody still saw me. I was like,
oh my God. We're off snap maps. We're off Find My
Hiding and the other person scouting the area. But yeah, it's really awkward. Heidi says, when Shane and I were looking, a woman at the graveyard asked us which team we were on, like Pokemon Go. And I had this wild moment where I thought you hired someone to give the idol to us. Funny, like an NPC, like just we pay him by the hour. If we had that kind of money, maybe.
That's what we fundraise for, is so that we can just give someone like $20 off the street, walk up to these strangers and give them this package.
I'll pay you $122 if you sit in the graveyard for a week. I don't think we can cover any salaries in this club.
No benefits, no nothing.
So finish things off. Alex was voted off unanimously. After all that, it still ended up being unanimous, but still a great tribal to watch. And Alex has some nice words in the end. I didn't specifically write down what they were, but he seemed very much a good sport about it. So I gotta say, spoilers for season one. Spoilers for season one right now, but no Alex winner. No 2-2. We couldn't get it done, unfortunately. This Alex. But what do you guys think of Alex's arc in this game? What do you think of his journey?
I love it. Alex knew Grandy beforehand. They were friends growing up. And I sort of knew Alex because of that connection. And I was rooting for him. He is definitely an introverted, shy, keeps to himself kind of person. That was not an act he put on for anyone this whole game. So to get to see him, and he talked about it, how he busted out and got to engage with all sorts of strangers and do these crazy things. I was really happy for him. And I think he's one of the best characters we had the entire season, even if he was soft-spoken. One of my favorite people to get to be a part of it. And honestly, I think a very fitting end. Not a winning game, but a very fitting end to what he did. And a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think what you just said was like super important because I always tend to like really favor the people that are more outspoken just because that's generally how I am as a person. But there's something about him, like I feel like he's just very direct and concise when he speaks that makes you like be like, oh, this is what this guy is thinking. He gets to the point. Or I mean, there's probably a lot more footage that we like don't see, but from the viewer's perspective, he like gets to the point. He doesn't go wild, but like there's something really rootable about the way he talks. And even though it's soft spoken, like it's engaging and it keeps you like, oh, like this is what this guy is thinking about. So I just enjoyed watching him from like maybe somebody who's a little bit quieter, who like stands out as a strategic player, because often the more strategic players tend to be the more outspoken ones, the bigger players. So it was nice to see somebody who was a little quieter, really like behind the scenes and able to do it well.
Yeah, I think he was very like almost, I would say probably more than anyone else except maybe Bijan, like aware of what was going on. And like he talked to enough people to know, like to get the information he needed and then to like plan a very far ahead with it, but like not so many people that it made him a target. And I think that like being on the quieter side kind of like helped him to do that. But it's also kind of like he definitely, you could kind of see him grow like as the season went on and he like started to talk to more people. And then like unfortunately he gets close with Heidi and that kind of like ends his game. But I think kind of like Ethan said, like it was a fitting ending.
Yeah, it's great. You see Alex in the first episode has a terrible start and almost could have been the first boot, I think, if not for Sawyer being just like outwardly more not good. Sorry, Sawyer, but not the best choices there. But Alex was in consideration to be that first boot, and after like winning a challenge for his tribe, the trivia challenge, he was big in that, and then really starting to turn it on and build those relationships in the swap going to the merge. I think he really showed himself to be a big player this season, despite being not maybe the most visible, loud player in the season. He really set himself up well and showed what he was doing was meaningful, and it was great watching him as a person that's my friend. He's a great guy. So that brings us to the end of the episode. So an awesome episode to watch. I just want to ask our guest Shane, as we head into the finale now, we have 5 players left and only one of them can win. From what you've seen so far, who do you think is looking the best to be our sole survivor?
God, I mean, we said it right now. Honestly, I think Heidi's in the best spot. If she can get to the end, if she gets there, I think she's got the best chance of winning. However, it really depends on how she handles the next couple of votes. Because if Bijan is able to sneak his way out of it, then he's got it. But I don't know. I think Heidi has, like, from my perspective, the best like story arc, like the most like, growth I've seen in the characters. So I am thinking Heidi, but could very be wrong. And if Matt wins out, Matt wins out. So that's another thing. He's a beast, so he could very easily do that.
Matt is a beast. Love that guy. It just always turns into the Ethan gushing about Matt show, which isn't a bad thing. But yeah, I think Shane, you're right. I think from everything that's happened to this point, Heidi looks in a really good spot, but has obstacles she still has to overcome. There are people who would beat her at the end, so it's now on her and the other people to get them out, or for them to not get them out and see what happens. Because
she's also not been shown to be very good at immunity challenges. I think is a big thing. So I think that is really tough for her when you have Matt and Barrett who have won all these challenges so far. Like it seems like Matt and Barrett are a step above the other three. Is the problem?
Yeah. I think she is able to get out Bijan and Matt in the next 2 votes, and it's her, Barrett, and Carolina in the final 3. If she loses, it's them final 2. So I think that's the danger of it. Whereas she keeps one of them around for final 3, then her odds of getting to the final 2 are that much higher because the target will be on them before it's on her.
Yeah, she's in this kind of like weird middle spot, right? Where you have like 2 bigger targets in Bijan and Matt, and then you have 2 who are like kind of more like goats in Barrett and Carolina. So she's gonna have to like figure out a way to use the targets as shields, but also keep around someone she can beat. So I don't know. It's an interesting position to be in, I would say.
It's a fun.
All right.
3 rounds left in 1 episode. Get ready.
Absolutely. And we have a great finale coming up. So the finale, just to say that the finale will be either 2 or 3 weeks from tonight. We're looking at 2. Our editor says we're on track for 2, but just to give a heads up, it could be 3, and we'll give an update for that on social media, I'm sure. But we're just giving him obviously a little bit more time for the finale because we have 3 boots and a final tribal to go through for that. But Cooper's been doing a great job, so no worries there. Looking forward to that. But plan for 2 weeks, adjust for 3. But looking forward to that. That'll be soon. But yeah, other than that, that is the show we have for you guys tonight. I'm going to give everyone a quick minute to plug anything they want, and we'll start with that. We'll start with Shane because Shane has his Survivor to plug. So Shane, tell us a little about Scotty Survivor.
Yeah, Scotty Survivor just finished filming like 2 weeks ago. Its first season, kind of in a hybrid mode. The first part of it was much more reliant on remote format, and then we kind of transitioned once the university gave us permission. It's a great season. There are so many things that I just never saw coming. I said like earlier that like there were times where I like went to go get the votes. I thought I knew what was going on, and I was like completely wrong. And I had like done the tribal like completely opposite of how I probably should have in that moment. Like I don't want to spoil anything, but there are just like so many things I never thought we would see. And we're looking at a February premiere. Our trailer just dropped today, so if you want to see it, it's on our YouTube page, so you can search up Scotty Survivor and it should pop up, or you can follow us on Instagram at Scotty_Survivor. I'm really looking forward to it airing. It's going to be a great season.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to that too. The trailer today looked awesome, and you guys have great production value. So that definitely helps, and it looks like you guys are going to do a great job with a great cast, and really excited for that.
Thanks. Yeah.
All right, Lindsay.
Hello. So I guess if you haven't watched Survivor UConn season 1, you can see me there. It's a great season. Had a lot of fun, made a lot of really good friends. And yeah, I mean, you'll hear Ethan call me the tap dancing queen. So if you want to see me doing some tap dancing, you can follow me on Instagram. It's just at Lindsay Carmody. And yeah, that's about it.
Awesome. Thank you, Lindsay. All right, Ethan, what do you got this week?
Well, Lindsay stole my plug. I was gonna
I'm
plug
sorry.
Oh.
You can do it anyways.
I will. I was gonna say to this week. I was just gonna to echo what has been said. Scotty Survivor looks amazing. Loved getting to have Govind on the show earlier. Loved having Shane here tonight. They look fantastic. Looking forward to them in February to help fill that void for me. And then I was gonna plug Lindsay in season 1, and I was absolutely gonna say follow Lindsay Carmody for some great tap dancing videos. They're one of my favorite binges. I have a folder of them saved. I'm not lying. It's weird.
Really? That's a lot, Ethan.
It is.
I don't know about that.
Also, Lindsay offers great Spotify playlists that she throws up, and
You're right.
she is a delight. So go watch her in season 1 and get excited for some Scotty Survivor come February, and get excited for our finale, which Ryan will talk about more too.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, I think I plugged Survivor UConn last week, but I'll plug it. I'll plug it again. My own show. It's not much of a plug, but the finale is coming up, and it's so good. This is our second finale we've put together, and obviously I edited the first season, and our new editor this season has done such a great job. It's so awesome to see what he's put together, and just how much better he is than me. It really steps up the quality of what he's doing. He's crafted some great storylines and some great stuff. And next week or in 2 weeks on the live show, we have Alex from UConn season 1. We'll have Cooper, our editor. We may have Alex like this week's boot Alex S on the live show, but we also might move him. We're probably going to do a reunion after, so we might move him to the reunion just for time's sake, because we'll have 3 boots to talk about then. That's what I was thinking, at least. I haven't talked to him about that. And then we have another special guest. I won't reveal who it is, but it's definitely someone, if you're a fan of College Survivor, you will be excited to see. It is not a host. It is a player, a notable player. So look forward to that. We'll just flash that and we'll quickly put it away. There is no footage of that, and there was also no moves. But yeah. So absolutely, thank you guys for coming on the live show tonight, Shane and Lindsay. It was great talking to you guys. Follow Survivor UConn on social media, at survivor.uconn on Instagram, at Survivor UConn on Twitter. Type us in on Facebook, Survivor UConn. We have a website that's linked in the descriptions of all the videos. We have a Discord channel. If you're in the r/Survivor Reddit Discord, you can talk about us there. Those are all great places to discuss Survivor UConn and hype us up and let us know how we're doing. If you want to tweet at us, tweet hashtag Survivor UConn. And otherwise, looking forward to discussing this finale with you guys. And it was a great episode. Thank you guys for coming on, and we will catch you next time. Have a great night.